You couldn't fill an auditorium to have people come watch the debate. The bottles of pop aren't debating. They're just fizzing. And in Christopher's universe, he and I are not debating, really. We're just fizzing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think
Christopher, I have to take a break here. We will be back and pick that thread up. I'm sorry about parceling out the allotment of time here, but dare I say I'm attempting to be Solomon-esque, if I'm not speaking out of class. And we'll be back with Christopher Hitchens and Pastor Douglas Wilson right after this on the Dennis Miller Show. Well, there are arguments on both sides, but you can always believe in David, Roger, and the Floyd. Welcome back to the Dennis Miller Show. We're joined for the entire hour by author Christopher Hitchens and Pastor Douglas Wilson, who are here to talk about their documentary Collision. For more information, go to their website, collisionmovie.com. We had just popped open a couple of Cokes with the intellectual heft involved here. Neither of them Coke Light. Christopher had some business to tidy up. Then back to the phones. Christopher.
Well, I know that you know that I've already written a book about Mother Teresa, and I know that you felt that I might have planted that question from whoever it was who asked it. And I'll just preface this by saying how much I admire Douglas Wilson for his agreement with me earlier on that if Christianity isn't true, then it doesn't matter how many charitable works are done in its name. It would be a horrible thing. It would be a fraud and a cruel one. And if you credit Christian missionaries and charitable people with their religion for what they do, then how would you deny it to Hamas, for example, which claims to be the only provider of welfare in Gaza, and which may well be. I mean, that would say nothing at all about the truth of Sunni Islam, would it? But in the case of Mother Teresa, I won't make that concession. Mother Teresa set her face in an entire career against the only thing that actually does cure poverty, and that's the release of women, human women, from their animal status as childbearing machines and the chattels of their menfolk and of that culture. If you give women the chance to have a say in their own reproductive cycle, you immediately raise the floor away from poverty. It doesn't matter whether you try it in Bangladesh or Bolivia. Mother Teresa spent her whole life saying that she took a long look at Calcutta and decided what it needs is a huge campaign against family planning. I mean, who comes to that conclusion who isn't a complete fanatic? She took, and I would directly say stole, and I back this up in my book, which has never been challenged by any Catholic reviewer, millions and millions of dollars, and spent all the money not on the poor, but on the building of nearly 200 convents in her own name around the world to glorify herself and to continue to spread the doctrine that, as she put it when she got her absurd Nobel Peace Prize, that the main threat to world peace is abortion and contraception. The woman was a fanatic and a fundamentalist and a fraud. Millions of people are much worse off because of her life, and it's a shame there was no hell for the old bitch to go to.
Christopher, let me ask you this. Have you ever had a brush with mortality, and indeed, when you were in that moment, was there some reflexive thing to ask some invisible higher power to help you?
No.
Never.
I mean, I'm one of those people, there are quite a lot of us. I mean, if subjective experience is to count, as people say it should, I believe people who say they see visions probably do. I tend to edge away from them when they start talking about it. I don't know, maybe you want to edge towards them. But I am, like quite a lot of us, immune to this kind of thing. I mean, I hear talk about, I don't know, the Holy Spirit or the means of grace and the hope of glory and all this, and to me it sounds like white noise. Perhaps I'm confessing some terrible lack in myself, but I have been exposed, say, to unfriendly fire. And I have in common with many people who do it for a living that it doesn't make you more religious, it makes you less so.
Well, it has been a fascinating hour, gentlemen. I must say that, Christopher, I am behitched by your thinking process, but I'd have to say I know at the end of the day when I feel up against it, I do hit my knees, and that's where it lies. We've heard from Pastor Douglas Wilson and Christopher Hitchens. This must be a scintillating documentary, Collision. To find out more, go to collisionmovie.org. Christopher and Pastor Wilson, thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Chat at you down the road. Back with a wrap-up here. I'll tell you about Springsteen. I might have saw God there. Not Bruce. He's a man. I'm saying somewhere in the room, though, I think it got God's attention. He floated down to catch that last set.
He was in the mosh pit.
Yeah, he said, there's a concert happening. Ground bound. I got to get on the escalator. Dennis Miller Show.